This sandwich could get you arrested. Not sick, not judged, arrested. Imagine taking one bite and losing your freedom. Because in America, at different points in history, certain foods weren't just unpopular. They were illegal, and the people who made them, sold them, even ate them. They paid the price: fines, jail, public shame, sometimes worse. Tonight, you're not just hearing about food, you're stepping into a hidden world, where hunger met power, where survival became a crime, where a simple sandwich became rebellion. Stay with me, because some of these stories were buried for a reason. This isn't about recipes. This isn't about taste. This is about control. Who decides what you eat? Who decides what you're allowed to sell? Who decides what counts as safe and what gets you punished? Because when people are desperate, they don't stop eating. They adapt, they create, they survive. And sometimes they break the law to do it. These are the poor man's sandwiches that crossed the line, that scared the system, that turned kitchens into crime scenes. And every bite came with a cost. The garbage sandwich. It sounds disgusting, because it was. During the Great Depression, people had nothing. No jobs, no money, no food. So they went behind restaurants, behind grocery stores, and they collected scraps, rotten vegetables, stale bread, spoiled meat. They cleaned it, cooked it, pressed it into sandwiches to survive. But cities began to crack down, health laws came in hard, dumpster diving was banned, selling salvaged food? Illegal. People were fined, arrested for trying not to starve. This wasn't food, this was desperation, and desperation became a crime. The horse meat sandwich, cheap, filling, easy. When beef prices exploded, poor families turned to horse meat. It was everywhere. Street vendors sold it quietly, but in many states, it was banned, seen as immoral, un-American. People caught selling it, fined, shut down, sometimes jailed. Not because it was unsafe, because it made people uncomfortable. This was not cooking, this was survival. And survival offended the system, the illegal oyster roll. In the 1800s, oysters were poor man's food. Cheap. Everywhere, people stuffed them into bread, sold them on streets. But then, overharvesting hit, oyster populations collapsed. Laws came fast, harvest limits, selling restrictions, black markets grew, people who kept selling fined, arrested, some lost everything. This bite could cost your entire business. The prison hooch sandwich, inside prisons. Food is control, but inmates found ways. They fermented fruit, made illegal alcohol, soaked bread in it, a twisted sandwich, a moment of escape. If caught, solitary confinement, beatings, extended sentences. This wasn't food. This was rebellion. The raw milk bread sandwich, schipperl, bread and raw milk cheese, natural, unprocessed. But in many states, raw milk was banned, declared dangerous. Selling it? Illegal. Farmers raided, products seized, families charged, all for something their grandparents drank daily. This bite was against the law. The street meat sandwich, unlicensed vendors, grills on sidewalks, cheap meat, cheap bread, feeding workers who couldn't afford anything else. But without permits, it was illegal. Police cracked down, carts destroyed, vendors arrested, food thrown away, while people nearby stayed hungry. This wasn't business. This was survival under attack. Here's what they didn't tell you. It wasn't always about safety. Sometimes it was about control. The margarine sandwich. Butter was expensive. Margarine was cheap, perfect for the poor, but dairy industries fought back. States banned margarine or forced it to be dyed pink. Yes, pink, selling normal-colored margarine, illegal. People smuggled it. A sandwich spread, turned into contraband. This wasn't food, this was politics. The wild game sandwich, deer, rabbit, Birds. For centuries, people hunted to survive, but new laws restricted hunting. Out of season, illegal. Selling wild meat, illegal. People still did it, quickly, to feed families. If caught, heavy fines, jail time. This bite was worth the risk. The alcohol-soaked bread. During Prohibition, alcohol was banned, but people got creative. They soaked bread in liquor. A loophole. Technically food. Still illegal. Raids happened. People arrested for eating their way around the law. This wasn't cooking. This was defiance. The ration sandwich. During wartime, food was controlled. Meat, sugar, butter, all rationed. People got creative. They traded, stole, forged ration stamps. Made sandwiches they weren't allowed to. If caught, fines, jail, public disgrace. This bite could label you a criminal. The illegal lobster roll. Yes, lobster. Today it's luxury. Back then, poor man's food. Served to prisoners, workers, even banned in some places as too cruel to serve repeatedly. But when laws changed supply, selling without regulation became illegal. Fishermen pushed limits, some paid the price. This wasn't luxury. This was survival. Misunderstood. This is where things get darker, because now, it's not just about food. It's about power deciding who eats. The charity sandwich. People feeding the homeless. Simple bread. Meat. Kindness. But in some cities, it became illegal without permits. People arrested, charged for giving food away. Let that sink in. This wasn't crime. This was compassion. Punished. The immigrant street sandwich. Different cultures, different flavors, unknown foods. Authorities targeted them, calling them unsafe, unregulated. Vendors shut down. Communities silenced. This wasn't about health. This was about fear. The potato bread rebellion. Potatoes were cheap. Bread stretched further with them. But in some regions, food regulations restricted substitutions. Bakeries fined. Products seized. Because it didn't meet standards, even if it fed more people. This bite was illegal innovation. The sugar sandwich. Bread and sugar. That's it for many. That was dinner. But during shortages, sugar was restricted. Even possessing too much. Suspicious people hid it. Shared it quietly. This wasn't dessert. This was survival sweetness. The black market meat sandwich. When prices rose, people turned to underground markets. Uninspected meat, unknown sources. Cheap, available, illegal. Raids were brutal. Supplies destroyed. Sellers jailed, buyers shamed. This wasn't food. This was risk wrapped in bread. Here's the truth. The poorer you were, the more dangerous eating became. The unpasteurized cheese sandwich. Traditional, flavorful, real, but banned in many places. Too risky, they said. Farmers fought back. Underground sales grew. Caught. Heavy penalties. Products destroyed. Generations of tradition. Criminalized the coffee substitute sandwich. During shortages, people used roasted grains, fake coffee, spread it on bread, a strange meal. But even substitutes were regulated. Selling without approval, illegal. This wasn't comfort. This was adaptation under pressure. The soup hustle. People thickened soup, poured it into bread, sold it cheap. Street survival food. Authorities saw it as unregulated food service, shut it down. Fined sellers. This wasn't business. This was feeding the forgotten. The roadkill sandwich. Yes, roadkill, fry meat for the desperate. But in many states, collecting it was illegal. People still did it, quietly, to survive. If caught, fines, charges. This bite came from necessity. The illegal fish sandwich, fishing without a license, too many fish, wrong area, wrong time, all illegal. People did it anyway, to eat, to sell, to live, and paid the price. This wasn't greed, this was hunger. Now listen carefully, because this next part, changes everything. The government surplus sandwich. Food meant for aid. Diverted. Resold, reused. Illegal. People caught, charged even if they were starving, because the system decided who deserved to eat. The expired food sandwich. Stores threw food away. Still edible. Still safe. People took it. Made sandwiches. But selling or distributing expired food illegal. Even if it saved lives, this wasn't waste, this was survival. The school lunch, black market sandwich, kids trading food, selling snacks, building their own economy. Schools cracked down, banned it, punished students. Because even children aren't allowed freedom in food. The backyard slaughter sandwich, families raising animals, killing them at home, feeding themselves. But regulations required inspection, licenses, facilities. Without them, illegal. People fined, animals seized, food destroyed. This wasn't farming. This was independence, controlled. The foraged sandwich, wild plants, mushrooms, greens, free food. But foraging laws restricted it, parks banned it, people fined for picking what nature gave. This wasn't stealing, this was survival instinct. This is where it hits hardest.
Because now
You realize something. It was never just about food. The peanut butter ration sandwich. Shibble. Classic. But during shortages, even this was limited. People hoarded, shared secretly, because something so basic became controlled. The breadline sandwich, charity lines, free meals. But rules were strict. Step out of line, denied, take extra, punished. Even hunger had rules, even survival had limits. The smuggled spice sandwich flavor was luxury, spices restricted, taxed heavily, people smuggled them. Added taste to bland survival food, caught, finned, goods seized. This wasn't flavor, this was dignity. The silent sandwich, the one no one talks about, because it's still happening. People today, still getting fined, still getting arrested, still getting shut down, for feeding themselves, for feeding others, for refusing to follow rules. That don't understand hunger. This isn't history. This is now. So next time you take a bite of something simple, something cheap, something you don't think twice about, remember this. There was a time when that same bite could cost you everything. Freedom, money, dignity, because food isn't just food. It's power, it's control, it's survival, and sometimes it's rebellion. Tell me, which one shocked you the most? Because the truth is, you're only one rule away from your next meal becoming illegal.